Perfect. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with the Chairman. My name is Ruda Borkotoky. I am the Chairman of the Canadian Business Council of Dubai and the Northern Emirates. And in this segment, we focus on showcasing some of the incredible subject matter expertise and talent contained within the Canadian community here in Dubai. And we also ask members of the Canadian community for their outlook and their point of view. Today, I'm honored to be joined by Manish Dhamani, who is the CEO of Dhamani 1969, which is a prominent jewelry retailer located in the UAE and Dubai in particular. Manish, of course, you and I have chatted before. I know a little bit about what you do, but for the uninitiated, could you start by telling us a little bit about yourself, your company, and what Dhamani Jewels is trying to do here in the UAE?
Thanks for inviting me, Anirudh. So my father is the founder of the group, Mr. Dhamani. He started in 1969. He was 17 years when he started.
Wow.
I think his passion was more on gemstone. He initially ventured into trading of gemstone within India for, I think, first few years. And I think early 80s, he ventured and he opened his own office, which was in Hong Kong and London. It was very quite interesting. That journey started from there, and I think in year 2000, when we arrived to Dubai, this is when we ventured into a UAE market and we started getting into the jewelry business. Otherwise, in the past, we used to be trading gemstones, and later on, we were selling jewelry. As of now,
interesting.
Go ahead.
And so then, what about yourself? When did you get involved with the business? What drove you into the business?
Interesting. So I joined in 1996 when I was in Bangkok, and I think later on in 2000 when we moved to Dubai in 98 actually. This is when we look at the opportunity of Dubai being growing, and there was a kind of an opportunity we looked at as a window of opening a jewelry retail store, being a free trade kind of a country. I think that's where exactly I walk into the business, and from typically B2B I joined into B2C business. Since then, we have started, let's say 2000, now we have 15 stores, 15 boutiques within UAE.
Wow. That is not easy to manage. It's not easy to manage 15 boutiques, particularly when you're dealing with in high value products. What I'm most impressed about with regard to Dhamani in general is that it's the group has been around for so many years,
right.
And it has a number of different brands and sections in which it operates. What do you think is the secret to the success, the longevity, and Dhamani's long-standing success?
Wow. I think success, to us definitely came with some kind of a commitment, and I think dedication, if I have to say the word, because that helps you to keep going, and you keep on regularly checking yourself to make sure that you are aligned to the bigger picture or the bigger vision that you had in mind. So keep going on and just keep reevaluating. I think that is the main success, if I can say.
Very good point, Manish. I think that when people read about entrepreneurship, especially it's a hot topic these days. You get told a lot about have the vision and solve a problem. The usual bullet points. But I think that what gets lost is the basics, and one of those basics is just at some point you just have to mentally commit yourself to the business and say that there's nothing else. This is what I got to do, and focus on it. And I think you're spot on there.
Thank you.
One of the fascinating things about Dhamani Jewels, and I'm sure a part of its success as well, is that it's a family business. You are the second generation of Dhamanis involved in the jewelry business as well. What was that transition like? As a second generation entrepreneur, what was the biggest challenge you faced when taking the helm of the company?
So I think transition is always a challenge, and it comes with its pros and cons, right? I think the biggest challenge for us as brothers and individually myself was, how do you really make sure that your founder is, being satisfied? Because they're the one who started initiative. To keep them satisfying, it was one of the biggest challenge. And I think the other challenge is, if I have to say to you, is seamless communication, which was always a challenge, that how you communicate with age difference, with difference of opinion. I think those are kind of few things that we come across very regularly in the transition period. Also, transition gives us a little clarify. What do you want to do? Where do you want to take this company? How do you want to brand? How do you want to position your brand? So that it can stay for the next generation. So transition is also making sure that at least you're handing over, like you are into a kind of an infinite kind of a period that you want to keep your business always going, irrespective of you being around or not. So I think that kind of a challenge is also part of transition.
That I think that's a really interesting perspective, and I think you're right. I think the bit again, the bits about the basics often get lost. When people talk about transitions, they talk about mission and visioning, but you're right. So much of the challenge is just learning to communicate with someone who comes from who's fundamentally had a very different life experience from you, right? I mean, your father, when he started out at the age of 18, the life that he's lived is just going to be different from the life that you'd lived, and it's really it creates a genuine challenge. And because you are part of the same family, that challenge often gets overlooked. Yeah. Starting up a business, hot thing to do, very different for someone like yourself who's grown up in a family business environment. But it's a form of entrepreneurship, and of course, entrepreneurship in general is very talked about these days. What do you think these days, and what is the single best piece of advice that you give your friends who are looking to start up businesses?
Well, I think single best advice to start a business, to set up, it'll be first and the most important thing is that what is the business that you are in? So, deciding it on kind of a criteria. So if giving an example of a jewelry trade, if I'm coming and opening a business here, I would look for a trade which is like a DMCC kind of a body, which is you do your due diligence before you even go and start your business to make sure that which jurisdiction or which kind of a free zone or if it is an LLC will give you a more or a better kind of freedom to work. So I think this is one of the advice that I strongly give it to the people who are
then this is a very specific and actually really interesting piece of advice. Is there a particular thing that you would then recommend someone avoid doing? Is there a definitely don't do this?
I always believe that whenever you're doing something, I ask myself 3 times why I'm doing, right? If I get deeper down and I can get my all clarification, I think it's the most easy to do what you want to do, but it's very difficult to decide what you don't want to do. So I personally believe that, unless you don't do your proper due diligence, you don't have the entire database or what kind of a, business that you want to project in the next 1 to 5 years, helps you to actually identify what you want to do, where do you want to set up your business.
That's very interesting. Manish, I can't let go as someone who operates in the precious metals and jewels industry without getting your point of view on where you think the price of gold and precious metals are heading for the coming year. What are your outlook? What do you hold?
If I want to predict, I'm definitely going to be a billionaire, right? I'm going to buy these all. But if I have to say with the data with 2008 and 2009 and 11, during 2011, gold reached to $1,850 per ounce. Today, it's still at 17 something, 1750, 1760. So I think that commodity is still yet to go further because the kind of the past 2 years we have seen in the trade, it gives a very good clarity to the people that the safe and the easy zone to go in is a commodity like gold and silver. But because of the other businesses which has been introduced in the past 2 years, have not given gold an opportunity to be investor friendly. But I think saying so, I see the price is going to go further up without any doubt.
Of course, I mean, particularly for you, physical gold is the commodity that you guys primarily trade with. And a lot of that has to do with demand for gold in India. So are you seeing pent-up demand from like weddings that were canceled due to the pandemic? Or is that not really a factor in your
surprisingly in this period? I think jewelry have really still been one of the most favorite to all the consumers. And irrespective of the kind of uncertainty that we have gone through if we look at the graph of the past 7 months, luxury especially have taken to the next level. And I think gold is a commodity, be it an Indian or in Europe or in other part of the world, is something that being liked by everybody. So it will always be a product that somebody wants to have it.
Interesting. Manish, thank you for your time. This has been a fascinating interview, and I really, really appreciated your insights and what you bring to the table. I hope that you will join us in the future for more. We should start a podcast called Gold Price Updates by Manish Dhamani, and hopefully we can become billionaires in the process by doing that.
Thank you so much for inviting me for this. Thank you, Manish.
Thank you so much, Manish.
Take care. Have a good day.